analysis. DIN. Negative trade recommendation. Sell DYN. Score -2 symbols. DIN. News. JP Morgan maintains overweight on Norwegian cruise line. Lowers price target to $28. Overall sentiment negative. Score -5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact potentially negative due to decreased price target. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact unclear as analyst maintains overweight rating. Ticker-specific analysis. NCLH. Negative trade recommendation. Sell NCLH. Score -2 symbols. NCLH. News. Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser says independence of Fed sacrosanct for U.S. financial system to retain leadership globally. Overall sentiment positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. The article may have a neutral short-term impact on the stock market, as it does not contain any specific news or updates about the mentioned ticker. Long-term impact, however, the article's positive view of the U.S. financial system's independence and leadership globally could potentially have a positive long-term impact on the overall market. Ticker-specific analysis. C. Neutral trade recommendation. Bold C. Score 0 symbols. C. News. Why is Rockwell Medical gain Tuesday? Overall sentiment positive. Score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential for continued upward momentum due to strong financials. Long-term impact. Companies focus on sales growth, profitability, and product diversification may lead to long-term stability and success. Ticker-specific analysis. RNTI. Positive trade recommendation. Buy RNTI. Score 2 symbols. RNTI. News. United Airlines earnings are imminent. These most accurate analysts revise forecasts ahead of earnings call. Overall sentiment negative. Score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact. UAL's share price may continue to drop due to negative earnings expectations. Long-term impact. Potential long-term impact on UAL's stock price and industry outlook remains uncertain. Ticker-specific analysis. BA. Neutral UAL. Negative trade recommendation. Hold UAL. Score -1 symbols. BA and UL. News. JP Morgan maintains overweight on Remitly Global. Lowers price target to $22. Overall sentiment positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term volatility due to lowered price target. Long-term impact. No significant long-term impact expected based on analysts' overweight rating. Ticker-specific analysis. Rely. Positive trade recommendation. Hold Rely. Score 1 symbols. Rely. News. Corvus Pharmaceuticals, Immunity, Acadia Healthcare and other big stocks moving higher on Tuesday. Overall sentiment positive. Score 7 out of 10. Short-term impact. Positive sentiment from gains of multiple stocks. Potential for short-term market rally. Long-term impact. No significant long-term impact indicated by the article. Ticker-specific analysis. ESK. Positive CRVS. Positive HIMC. Positive trade recommendation. Hold USAR. Score 1 symbols. ESK. CRVS. HIMC. IEG. IBUX. KEP. Light. Wrapped. SKM. SNDK. TI. UMC. And USAR. News. Fastenal blames tariffs for rising inventory costs. Revenue missed him. Solid quarter. Overall sentiment neutral. Score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact. Fast price down 4.82%. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact. potential for increased competition due to rising costs. Ticker-specific analysis. Fast, neutral trade recommendation. Hold fast. Score 0 symbols. Fast. News. JP Morgan maintains underweight on T. Rowe Price Group lowers price target to $108. Overall sentiment negative. Score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact. Expected decline in T. Rowe Price Group stock price due to lowered price target. Long-term impact. Potential long-term impact on investor confidence and market perception of the company's performance. Ticker-specific analysis. TRO. Negative trade recommendation. Hold TRO. Score -1 symbols. TRO. News. Fastial blames tariffs for rising inventory costs. Revenue missed in solid quarter. Overall sentiment neutral. Score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term negative impact expected due to revenue miss. Long-term impact. Long-term implications unclear. Potential for recovery in future quarters. Ticker-specific analysis. Fast. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold fast. Score 0 symbols. Fast. News. Shares of precious metals are trading higher as investors seek safe haven assets amid President Trump's escalating comments about making Greenland a U.S. territory. President Trump posted on social media that the U.S. imports for 8 NATO members will face escalating tariffs, starting at 10% on February 1, which will climb to 25% on June 1. Overall sentiment positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Prices of precious metals may fluctuate in the short term based on investor sentiment. Long-term impact. The long-term impact on the market is uncertain, but investors seeking safe haven assets continue to drive up prices. Ticker-specific analysis. AUK. Neutral AAM. Neutral AG. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold WRN. Score 0 symbols. AUK. EAM. AG. AVI. EG. ARM. ASA. ASM. O. AUGO, B, BTG, BVN, CDE, CGAL, CMACI, DC, DRD, DVS, EGO, EXC, FNV, FSM, GAL, GFI, GLD, GLDG, CORO, HBM, HL, HMY, HIMC, IEG, IOX, IDER, IDIG, JNUG, KGC, ATA, NEM, NUP, and FGC, NG, and GD, NUGT, ADV, or, ARLA, PAS, PITA, RGLD, RING, SA, SGDJ, SIL, SKI, SLSR, SLV, SLVR, SSRM, SVM, TFPM, THM, uses, VGZ, BZALA, WPM, and WRN. News. Trump's first year back in office. SPY. Bitcoin. QQQ scorecard overall sentiment. Neutral. Score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Uncertainty over tariffs, interest rates and geopolitical tension could see the stock market take a breather. Long-term impact. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin can trade higher during times of political uncertainty and geopolitical tension. Ticker-specific analysis. BTCust. Negative DIA. Neutral Google. Positive trade recommendation. Hold SBY. Score 0 symbols. BTCust. DIA. Google. QQQ. And SPY. News. Lottery.com shares halted on circuit breaker to the upside. Stock now up 55.47% overall sentiment. Positive. Score 6 out of 10. Short-term impact. Significant short-term price increase likely to attract buying interest. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact uncertain without further analysis, but current trend is positive. Ticker-specific analysis. SEG. Positive trade recommendation. By SEG. Score 2 symbols. SEG. News. If you invested $100 in Amphenol stock 20 years ago, you would have this much today. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. The news may boost investor confidence in APH, leading to potential short-term price increases. Long-term impact. Long-term investors can expect continued growth based on Amphenol's historical performance and returns. Ticker-specific analysis. APH. Positive trade recommendation. By APH. Score 2 symbols. APH. News. Cantor Fitzgerald maintains overweight on MKS. Raises price target to $300 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term increase in stock price due to raised expectations. Long-term impact. Long-term positive impact expected due to strong market sentiment and growth potential. Ticker-specific analysis. NKSI. Positive trade recommendation. By NKSI. Score 2 symbols. NKSI. News. D-Wave Quantum QBTS completes quantum circuits by, but shares slide on Trump tariff update. Overall sentiment. Negative. Score -8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Bearish momentum and tariff concerns may cloud short-term gains. Long-term impact. 2026 targets and accelerated roadmap may drive long-term growth. Ticker-specific analysis. QBTS. Negative WQTM. Negative XSW. Negative trade recommendation. Hold QBTS. Score 0 symbols. QBTS. WQTM. And XSW. News. Caviar seller Top Wealth Group strikes $125 million deal to expand into fine wine. Overall sentiment. Neutral. Score 2 out of 10. Short-term impact. TWG stock price may continue to rise due to the positive news, but caution is advised given its yearly decline. Long-term impact. The acquisition may lead to long-term growth prospects for TWG in the luxury segment, but this remains uncertain. Ticker-specific analysis. TWG. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold TWG. Score 1 symbols. TWG. News. Caviar seller Top Wealth Group strikes $125 million deal to expand into fine wine. Overall sentiment. Neutral. Score 1 out of 10. Short-term impact. Expected short-term price increase due to positive news. Long-term impact. Potential long-term growth due to diversified beverage offerings and enhanced luxury portfolio. Ticker-specific analysis. TWG. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold TWG. Score 0 symbols. TWG. News. Sun Pharma eyes Organon in what could be India Pharma's biggest cross-border deal. Report overall sentiment. Positive. Score 6 out of 10. Short-term impact. Acquisition talks may lead to increased market volatility and potential short-term gains for Organon. Long-term impact. A successful deal could strengthen Sun Pharma's presence in the U.S. market and improve its long-term prospects. Ticker-specific analysis. MRK, neutral OGN, positive ROIV, neutral trade recommendation. Hold ROIV, score 1 symbols, MRK, on, and ROIV. News, Benzinga market summary. S&P drops, tech stocks dive and precious metals rise due to escalating U.S. import tariffs against NATO 8 members. Netflix revises Warner Brothers. Deal structure ahead of today's earnings results overall sentiment, negative, score -4 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term market impact expected to be moderate, with potential for volatility. Long-term impact uncertain, but escalating trade tensions may lead to sustained market instability. Ticker-specific analysis, GLD, neutral NFLX, negative QQQ, negative trade recommendation, hold SPY, score -1 symbols, GLD, NFLX, QQQ, SLV, and SPY. News, Oppenheimer maintains outperform on Bentley Systems, lowers price target to $53 overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact, neutral impact expected in the short term due to unchanged rating. Long-term impact, potential positive long-term impact if company performs well at lower price target. Ticker-specific analysis, BSY, neutral trade recommendation. Hold BSY, score -1 symbols, BSY. News, Palantir shares lower, stock market weakens after Trump tariff announcement, overall sentiment, negative, score -8 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term weakness expected due to tariff announcement. Long-term impact, long-term uptrend maintained despite short-term pressure. Ticker-specific analysis, PLTR, negative trade recommendation. Hold PLTR, score 0 symbols, PLTR. News, Wedbush reiterates neutral on Intel, maintains $30 price target, overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact, no significant market impact expected due to the reiteration of existing sentiments. Long-term impact, the article does not provide any information that would significantly affect Intel's long-term prospects. Ticker-specific analysis, INTC, neutral trade recommendation. Hold INTC, score 0 symbols, INTC. News, why AST Space Mobile AST stock is flat despite recent defense win, overall sentiment, negative, score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term weakness and caution flags raise concerns, but overall market impact is limited. Long-term impact, defense win and strong longer-term trend may have positive long-term implications for ASTs. Ticker-specific analysis, ASTs, neutral ASTX, negative missile, negative trade recommendation. Hold missile, score -1 symbols, ASTs, ASTX, missile, and SIXC. News, VIP stock has given up its prior loss. Fifth Third Bancorp shares were trading lower after the company reported mixed Q4 financial results. Overall sentiment, negative, score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term market impact is expected to be moderate due to the concerning financial results. Long-term impact, long-term market impact is uncertain and will depend on FITP ability to recover from these mixed results. Ticker-specific analysis, FITP, negative trade recommendation. Hold FITP, score -1 symbols, FITP. News, Wedbush reiterates outperform on Logitech International, maintains $135 price target, overall sentiment, positive, score 6 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential short-term increase in stock price due to positive analyst rating. Long-term impact, long-term positive outlook with potential for continued growth. Ticker-specific analysis. Logi, positive trade recommendation. By Logi, score 2 symbols, Logi. News, Penguin Solutions Cree LED brand, Blizzard Lighting reach settlement over patent infringement dispute. Terms not disclosed. Overall sentiment, positive, score 7 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential short-term positive impact on Penn stock due to resolution of patent dispute. Long-term impact, long-term market impact unclear. Further analysis required for more detailed insights. Ticker-specific analysis, Peng, positive trade recommendation. By Peng, score 2 symbols, Peng. News, KY stock has given up its prior loss. Key Corp shares were trading lower. The company reported Q4 financial results. Overall sentiment, positive, score 3 out of 10. Short-term impact, muted reaction expected as market digest Q4 financial results. Long-term impact depends on actual performance and future guidance. Ticker-specific analysis, key, neutral trade recommendation, hold KEY, score 0 symbols, key. News, Oppenheimer maintains outperform on Ondas Holdings, raises price target to $16. Overall sentiment, positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, expected short-term increase in stock price due to analysts' positive outlook. Long-term impact, potential for long-term growth based on analysts' confidence in the company's prospects. Ticker-specific analysis, ONS, positive trade recommendation. Hold ONS, score 1 symbols, ONS. News, Canaccord Genuity maintains buy on Clover Health Investments, maintains $3.7 price target. Overall sentiment, positive, score 6 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential short-term price increase based on maintained buy rating. Long-term impact, long-term market impact is uncertain without further information. Ticker-specific analysis, CLOV, positive trade recommendation. By CLOV, score 2 symbols, CLOV. News, Oppenheimer maintains outperform on Ulta Beauty, raises price target to $750. Overall sentiment, positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, positive impact on Ulta stock price in the short term due to increased investor confidence. Long-term impact, potential for long-term growth as Oppenheimer maintains outperform rating. Ticker-specific analysis, Ulta, positive trade recommendation. By Ulta, score 2 symbols, Ulta. News, reported earlier, Baidu's AI assistant reaches milestone of 200 million monthly active users. WSJ overall sentiment, positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, the news is likely to boost investor confidence, leading to a short-term price increase. Long-term impact, this milestone sets Baidu up for long-term success in the AI market, potentially driving sustained growth. Ticker-specific analysis, Baidu, positive trade recommendation. By Baidu, score 2 symbols, Baidu. News, CoreWeave CRWV stock drops amid broad market sell-off. Overall sentiment, negative, score -8 out of 10. Short-term impact, the market impact is negative due to the overall sell-off and CoreWeave stock drop. Long-term impact, the long-term impact depends on various factors, including future earnings reports and company performance. Ticker-specific analysis, CRWV, negative CWVX, negative IGD, negative trade recommendation. Hold CWVX, score -1 symbols, CRWV, CWVX, and IGD. News. Oppenheimer maintains outperform on PNC Financial Services GR, raises price target to $284 overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Positive sentiment may lead to short-term stock price increase. Long-term impact. The raised price target suggests a long-term bullish outlook for the company's stock. Ticker-specific analysis. PNC. Positive trade recommendation. By PNC, score 2 symbols. PNC. News. Novavax shares rise after licensing deal with Pfizer. Overall sentiment. Neutral, score 1 out of 10. Short-term impact. Invax shares may experience short-term gains due to the positive news, but caution is advised given the bearish market. Long-term impact. The licensing deal could have long-term benefits for Novavax's vaccine platform and stock performance. Ticker-specific analysis. Invax. Neutral PFE. Negative trade recommendation. Hold PFE, score -1 symbols. NVAX and FE. News. Lottery.com shares resume trade. Overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. No significant short-term market impact expected. Long-term impact. Long-term impact cannot be determined based on this promotional article. Ticker-specific analysis. SEG. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold SEG, score 0 symbols. SEG. News. Baidu shares are trading higher after reports suggest that its AI assistant reached a milestone of 200 million monthly active users. Overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact. Potential increase in stock price due to positive news. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact. Positive sentiment may lead to increased investor interest and potential long-term growth. Ticker-specific analysis. Baidu. Positive trade recommendation. By Baidu, score 2 symbols. Baidu. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on PNC Financial Services GR, raises price target to $264 overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Moderate positive impact due to raised price target. Long-term impact. Positive long-term outlook with a raised price target. Ticker-specific analysis. PNC. Positive trade recommendation. By PNC, score 2 symbols. PNC. News. Wells Fargo maintains underweight on Regions Fennel, lowers price target to $28 overall sentiment, negative, score -5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term decline in stock price expected due to downgrade. Long-term impact. Long-term impact uncertain, but potential negative effect on investor confidence. Ticker-specific analysis. RF. Negative trade recommendation. Hold RF, score 0 symbols, RF. News. Here's how much $100 invested in Cloudflare 5 years ago would be worth today. Overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. The short-term impact is likely minimal, as the article focuses on long-term performance. Long-term impact. This could have a positive impact on Cloudflare's stock price and overall market perception in the long term. Ticker-specific analysis. Net. Positive trade recommendation. By Net, score 2 symbols. Net. News. Why Dynatrace stock could remain under pressure in the coming months. Overall sentiment. Negative. Score -7 out of 10. Short-term impact. Selling pressure may persist for Dynatrace in the near term. Long-term impact. The article suggests a broader corrective phase for Dynatrace, which could impact its long-term outlook. Ticker-specific analysis. DT. Negative trade recommendation. Hold DT, score 0 symbols. DT. News. Wells Fargo maintains equal weight on Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, lowers price target to $376 overall sentiment, negative, score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential short-term decline in stock price. Long-term impact uncertain, but may reflect a correction in the company's valuation. Ticker-specific analysis. ONI. Negative trade recommendation. Hold ONI, score -1 symbols. ONI. News. Why Dynatrace stock could remain under pressure in the coming months. Overall sentiment. Negative, score -6 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact. Selling pressure likely to persist, with potential for further downside. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact, unclear, but structural breakdowns can lead to corrective phases and potentially significant losses. Ticker-specific analysis. DT. Negative trade recommendation. Hold DT, score 0 symbols. DT. News. Why Dynatrace stock could remain under pressure in the coming months. Overall sentiment. Negative, score -6 out of 10. Short-term impact. Continued downside pressure is expected in the near term. Long-term impact. A longer-term correction or consolidation phase may occur. Ticker-specific analysis. DT. Negative trade recommendation. Hold DT, score 0 symbols. DT. News. RBC Capital maintains sector performance. CF Industries Holdings raises price target to $95. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term price increase due to raised price target. Long-term impact. Long-term outlook remains positive with analysts maintaining sector perform. Ticker-specific analysis. CF. Positive trade recommendation. By CF. Score 2 symbols. CF. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Apellis Pharmaceuticals, lowers price target to $26. Overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact, neutral. Analysts' decision may not significantly affect stock price. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact, positive. Lower price target suggests potential for future growth and increase in investor confidence. Ticker-specific analysis. Apples. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold apples, score -1 symbols. Apples. News. What's going on with Jeff's brand stock Tuesday? Overall sentiment. Negative. Score -7 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact is moderate due to the sell-off and pressure on JFBR. Long-term impact. Long-term impact is uncertain, but the company's new strategic direction and partnerships may have a positive effect in the future. Ticker-specific analysis. JFBR. Negative trade recommendation. Sell JFBR, score -3 symbols. JFBR. News. Cosmos Health's Cosmopharm subsidiary adds 100 new pharmacy clients. Launches 3 new delivery routes within Attica region in 2025. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term positive impact due to increased customer base and revenue. Long-term impact. Long-term positive impact expected as Cosmopharm continues to expand and improve operations. Ticker-specific analysis. COSM. Positive trade recommendation. By COSM, score 3 symbols. COSM. News. Organon shares are trading higher after the FDA approved a supplemental new drug application for Nexplan. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Organon stock price may experience short-term gains. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact is uncertain and requires further analysis. Ticker-specific analysis. ON. Positive trade recommendation. By ON. Score 2 symbols. ON. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Ascendis Pharma, raises price target to $330. Overall sentiment. Positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term price increase expected due to raised price target. Long-term impact. Long-term growth potential remains strong based on analysts' optimistic outlook. Ticker-specific analysis. ASND. Positive trade recommendation. By ASND. Score 2 symbols. ASND. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Bridge Biopharma, raises price target to $88 overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, expected increase in stock price due to raised price target. Long-term impact, potential for long-term growth based on analysts' overweight rating. Ticker-specific analysis, BBO, positive trade recommendation. By BBO, score 2 symbols, BBO. News, RBC Capital maintains outperform on LSB Industries, raises price target to $11 overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term price increase expected. Long-term impact, long-term growth prospects appear favorable due to analysts' positive outlook. Ticker-specific analysis, LXU, positive trade recommendation. Hold LXU, score 1 symbols, LXU. News, Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Rhythm Pharmaceuticals, raises price target to $145 overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term price increase expected. Long-term impact, long-term outlook positive due to analysts' overweight rating. Ticker-specific analysis, Rhythm, positive trade recommendation. By Rhythm, score 2 symbols, Rhythm. News, Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Soleno Therapeutics, raises price target to $114 overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential short-term price increase due to analyst upgrade. Long-term impact, positive long-term outlook for Soleno Therapeutics with potential for sustained growth. Ticker-specific analysis, SLNO, positive trade recommendation. By SLNO, score 2 symbols, SLNO. News, live on CNBC, Micron CEO discusses new NY plant, will be largest semiconductor facility in the U.S. Expected to generate 50,000 jobs overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, positive impact on Micron's stock price and industry sentiment. Long-term impact, potentially significant long-term impact on the U.S. economy and Micron's market share. Ticker-specific analysis, MOO. Positive trade recommendation. By MOO, score 2 symbols, MOO. News, backed BKKT stock tumbles after announcing $100 ATM equity program overall sentiment, negative, score -8 out of 10. Short-term impact, BKKT price may continue to face downward momentum. Long-term impact, the $300 equity program could have a mixed impact on BKKT's financial flexibility and growth opportunities in the long term. Ticker-specific analysis, BKKT, negative trade recommendation. Hold BKKT, score 0 symbols, BKKT. News, Lottery.com shares halted on circuit breaker to the upside. Stock now up 231.25% overall sentiment. Positive, score 6 out of 10. Short-term impact, significant short-term market impact due to large price increase. Long-term impact, positive long-term implications for the company's growth and investor confidence. Ticker-specific analysis, SEG, positive trade recommendation. By SEG, score 2 symbols, SEG. News, RBC Capital maintains sector perform on Northern Oil and Gas, lowers price target to $30 overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact, minimal short-term impact expected due to lack of significant change in analyst opinion. Long-term impact, no long-term market impact assessment available based on provided news article. Ticker-specific analysis, NOG, neutral trade recommendation. Hold NOG, score 0 symbols, NOG. News, Texas Roadhouse pulling away from the pack, and the sales numbers back it up. Overall sentiment, positive, score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact, shares are likely to continue upward trajectory with positive momentum. Long-term impact, Strong comp track record and focus on operations may sustain company's growth. Ticker specific analysis. TXRH. Positive trade recommendation. Buy TXRH. Score 3 symbols. TXRH. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on RJinx, raises price target to $1,317. Overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term, ARK's price may increase due to raised target. Long-term impact. Long-term, analyst confidence could lead to sustained growth. Ticker-specific analysis. ARGS, positive trade recommendation. Buy ARGS, score 2 symbols. ARGS. News. App Love and shares drop as stock market slides. Investigative report circulates. Overall sentiment negative, score -8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Bearish sentiment may continue due to recent decline and potential negative news. Long-term impact. Investors should monitor regulatory responses to allegations and market trends. Ticker-specific analysis. App. Negative trade recommendation. Hold APP, score 0 symbols. App. News. U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says interest rates in U.S. are too high. When asked about China, says I'd like the UK to be aligned with us. Think we're going to grow more than 5% GDP this quarter. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term market volatility due to interest rate discussions. Long-term impact. Long-term growth prospects for U.S. and aligned countries may be positively impacted by the Commerce Secretary's comments. Ticker-specific analysis. FXI. Neutral SPY. Positive VGK. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold VGK. Score 0 symbols. FXI, SPY, and VGK. News. Morgan Stanley maintains overweight on State Street, lowers price target to $164. Overall sentiment, neutral, score -2 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact is likely minimal due to a small price target adjustment. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact may be positive as the analyst maintains an overweight rating on State Street. Ticker-specific analysis. STT. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold STT, score 0 symbols. STT. News. RBC Capital maintains outperform on Nutrien, raises price target to $75. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. The news is likely to cause an increase in short-term trading activity as investors respond to the revised price target. Long-term impact. This development may have a positive long-term impact on Nutrien stock price, potentially leading to increased investor interest and market valuation. Ticker-specific analysis. NTR. Positive TSX:NTR. Positive symbols. TSX:NTR. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Sempra. Lowers price target to $112. Overall sentiment. positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact, price may fluctuate after the announcement. Long-term impact, Sempra's fundamentals and industry outlook will continue to impact its stock performance. Ticker-specific analysis, SRE, neutral trade recommendation. Hold SRE, score 0 symbols, SRE. News. This Intel analyst turns bullish on return to the right path overall sentiment. Positive, score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Intel shares may rise in the short term due to analyst upgrades and positive outlook statements. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact is uncertain, but Intel's improving competitiveness and new product offerings could lead to sustained growth. Ticker-specific analysis. INTC, positive trade recommendation. By INTC, score 2 symbols, INTC. News. RBC Capital maintains sector perform on Mosaic. Raises price target to $29 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term impact is likely minimal due to the analyst's neutral sector perform rating. Long-term impact. Long-term potential for Mosaic stock may increase with this price target raise. Ticker-specific analysis. MOS. Positive trade recommendation. By MOS. Score 2 symbols, MOS. News. Morgan Stanley maintains underweight on PNC Financial Services GR, raises price target to $221 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Price increase may attract investors, but maintenance of underweight rating suggests caution. Long-term impact. Raised price target could indicate long-term growth potential. Ticker-specific analysis. PNC. Positive trade recommendation. By PNC, score 2 symbols. PNC. News. Africa's biggest Boeing customer doubles down with new Dreamliner order overall sentiment. Positive, score 7 out of 10. Short-term impact. Positive sentiment may lead to short-term market gains. Long-term impact. New orders and deliveries could positively impact Boeing's long-term prospects. Ticker-specific analysis. BA. Positive DAL. Neutral trade recommendation. By BA, score 2 symbols, BA. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Constellation Energy, lowers price target to $460 overall sentiment, neutral, score 2 out of 10. Short-term impact. The news may cause a short-term decline in Constellation Energy stock price due to the lowered price target. Long-term impact, however, the maintained overweight rating suggests long-term optimism and potential for future growth. Ticker-specific analysis, SEG, positive trade recommendation. Old CEG, score 1 symbols, SEG. News. Morgan Stanley maintains overweight on Dutch Bros, lowers price target to $82 overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact, no immediate market impact expected. Long-term impact, long-term implications of the price target adjustment unclear. Ticker-specific analysis, Bros, neutral trade recommendation, hold Bros, score 0 symbols, Bros. News. Price over earnings overview. Cigna Group overall sentiment, neutral, score -2 out of 10. Short-term impact, minimal short-term market impact expected. Long-term impact, long-term market impact depends on Cigna Group's future performance and industry trends. Ticker-specific analysis, PSI, neutral trade recommendation. Hold CI, score -1 symbols, PSI. News. How do investors really feel about MasterCard Inc.? Overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Traders should be aware of decreasing short interest, but near-term impact uncertain. Long-term impact. Improving sentiment may lead to increased investor confidence and potential price appreciation. Ticker-specific analysis. MA. Neutral trade recommendation. Old MA, score 0 symbols, MA. News. Here's how much $100 invested in Canadian Imperial Bank 5 years ago would be worth today. Overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. The reported performance is likely to have a positive short-term impact on CM stock price. Long-term impact. The long-term market impact will depend on future market conditions and CM's continued performance. Ticker-specific analysis. CM. Positive trade recommendation. By CM, score 2 symbols. CM. News. RBC Capital maintains outperform on Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, lowers price target to $465. Overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Limited short-term impact due to slight price target adjustment. Long-term impact. Positive long-term impact as analyst maintains outperform rating. Ticker-specific analysis. Alny. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold Alny score -1 symbols. Alny. News. Looking into Exelon Corp's recent short interest overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term volatility due to increased short interest. Long-term impact. No clear long-term impact mentioned. Further analysis required for a comprehensive assessment. Ticker-specific analysis. XC. Negative trade recommendation. Hold XC. Score -1 symbols. XC. News. Is the market bullish or bearish on Palo Alto Networks Inc.? Overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact is neutral as the increase in short interest may not immediately affect Panwa stock price. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact is uncertain, but an increase in short interest could potentially signal a more bearish outlook for Panwa. Ticker-specific analysis. Panwa. Negative trade recommendation. Hold Panwa, score -1 symbols. Panwa. News. Earnings preview. Third Coast Bank shares overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Moderate price movement possible based on earnings surprise. Long-term impact. No significant long-term impact expected given the neutral overall sentiment. Ticker-specific analysis. TCBX. Neutral symbols. TCBX. News. A peek at Great Southern Bancorp's future earnings overall sentiment. Neutral, score 2 out of 10. Short-term impact. Shares may see an immediate price increase due to the news of potential earnings beat. Long-term impact. Long-term shareholders are likely bullish, with shares potentially increasing in value over time. Ticker-specific analysis. GSBC. Neutral symbols. GSBC. News. Earnings preview. Eagle Bancorp overall sentiment, negative, score -7 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential share price volatility due to earnings release. Long-term impact. Uncertainty about future guidance may affect long-term investment decisions. Ticker-specific analysis. EGBIN. Negative trade recommendation. Hold EGBIN, score 0 symbols. EGBIN. News. What's next? Horizon Bancorp's earnings preview overall sentiment. Positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Minimal impact expected from this earnings release. Long-term impact. Positive long-term performance may continue, but upcoming earnings will be crucial in determining the future outlook. Ticker-specific analysis. HBNC. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold HBNC, score 0 symbols. HBNC. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on NRG Energy, raises price target to $206. Overall sentiment. Positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term gain as investors react positively to the raised price target. Long-term impact. May contribute to long-term growth prospects for NRG Energy. Ticker-specific analysis. NRG. Positive trade recommendation. By NRG. Score 2 symbols. NRG. News. Preview. Old Second Bancorp's earnings overall sentiment. Neutral. Score -2 out of 10. Short-term impact. Neutral. Awaiting actual earnings release for potential price movement. Long-term impact. Long-term shareholders are likely bullish based on the company's past performance. Ticker-specific analysis. USPC. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold USPC. Score -1 symbols. USPC. News. Morgan Stanley maintains equal weight on Kava Group, lowers price target to $80 overall sentiment. Neutral. Score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term price decrease due to lower price target. Long-term impact. No significant long-term market impact mentioned. Ticker-specific analysis. Kava. Negative trade recommendation. Hold Kava. Score -1 symbols. Kava. News. Insights ahead. Equity Bank shares' quarterly earnings overall sentiment. Neutral. Score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Limited market movement expected due to neutral article content. Long-term impact. No long-term market impact anticipated based on this news alone. Ticker-specific analysis. ECPC. Neutral symbols. ECPC. News. Uncovering potential. Dime Community Bank shares' earnings preview overall sentiment. Negative. Score -4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Market reaction may be driven by guidance, not earnings. Long-term impact. Long-term shareholders unhappy due to negative returns over the last 52 weeks. Ticker-specific analysis. DCOM. Negative trade recommendation. Hold DCOM. Score -1 symbols. DCOM. News. A look ahead. Live Oak Bankshares' earnings forecast overall sentiment. Negative. Score -7 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term drop due to bearish sentiment. Long-term impact. Long-term shareholders may be bearish going into this earnings release. Ticker-specific analysis. LOB. Negative trade recommendation. Hold LOB. Score 0 symbols. LOB. News. HII's Mission Technologies division secures spot on $25.4 ATSP 5-2D contract for advanced microelectronics and engineering solutions overall sentiment. Positive. Score 9 out of 10. Short-term impact. Expect a short-term increase in HII stock price due to the significant contract win. Long-term impact. This contract may have a positive long-term impact on HII's revenue and market share, but further analysis is needed. Ticker-specific analysis. HII. Positive trade recommendation. Hold HII. Score 0 symbols. HII. News. The Lotto Group. M2I Global extend end date of business combination through March 31. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Minimal short-term impact expected as the extension allows for orderly completion of remaining regulatory steps. Long-term impact. Positive long-term implications. As the merger progresses towards a targeted first quarter 2026 closing timeline. Ticker-specific analysis. ENTWO. Positive SOAR. Positive trade recommendation. By SOAR. Score 2 symbols. ENTWO and SOAR. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Helen Energy. Raises price target to $506 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. The news is likely to have a positive impact on the stock's short-term performance. Long-term impact. The increased price target and analyst confidence may contribute to long-term growth prospects for TLN. Ticker-specific analysis. TLN. Positive trade recommendation. By TLN, score 3 symbols. TLN. News. RBC Capital maintains outperform on Ascendis Pharma. Raises price target to $250 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term gain for ASN stock. Long-term impact. Long-term outlook remains positive with the increased price target. Ticker-specific analysis. ASN. Positive trade recommendation. By ASN, score 2 symbols. ASN. News. Udemy collaborates with Entry to expand upskilling opportunities in India. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 7 out of 10. Short-term impact. The partnership may lead to a short-term increase in Udemy's stock price due to the positive sentiment and potential growth opportunities. Long-term impact. The long-term impact is likely to be positive, with the partnership potentially leading to increased revenue and market share for Udemy in India. Ticker-specific analysis. Udemy. Positive trade recommendation. By Udemy, score 2 symbols. Udemy. News. Resolve AI announces $250M registered direct offering of 62.5M shares at a price of $4/share. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Expected to positively impact the stock price in the short term. Long-term impact. May lead to increased market presence and potential long-term growth. Ticker-specific analysis. RZLV. Positive trade recommendation. By RZLV, score 2 symbols. RZLV. News. RBC Capital maintains outperform on M&T Bank. Raises price target to $220 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 6 out of 10. Short-term impact. Stock price may rise in response to increased confidence. Long-term impact. M&T Bank's financial health and future prospects appear solid. Ticker-specific analysis. MTB. Positive trade recommendation. By MTB, score 2 symbols. MTB. News. U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says, if Europe retaliates with tariffs, then we will be back to a tit-for-tat. Overall sentiment, negative, score -4 out of 10. Short-term impact, increased market volatility, decreased investor confidence. Long-term impact, potential long-term damage to global trade relationships and economic growth. Ticker-specific analysis. SPY, negative VGK. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold VGK, score -1 symbols. SPY, and VGK. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Vistra, lowers price target to $236 overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact, neutral impact expected in the short term. Long-term impact, no significant long-term implications mentioned. Ticker-specific analysis. VST, neutral trade recommendation. Hold VST, score 0 symbols. VST. News. RBC Capital maintains sector perform on Goldman Sachs Group. Raises price target to $1,030 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. The price increase may lead to short-term market volatility. Long-term impact. A higher price target suggests long-term growth potential for Goldman Sachs Group. Ticker-specific analysis. GS. Positive trade recommendation. By GS, score 2 symbols. GS. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on iSource, raises price target to $49 overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term increase in stock price expected. Long-term impact, long-term positive impact on iSource's valuation and market position. Ticker-specific analysis. NI. Positive trade recommendation. Hold NI, score 1 symbols. NI. News. RBC Capital maintains outperform on PNC Financial Services GR, raises price target to $235 overall sentiment, positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term market impact, potential increase in stock price. Long-term impact, long-term market impact, positive outlook for PNC Financial Services Group. Ticker-specific analysis, PNC, positive trade recommendation. By PNC, score 2 symbols, PNC. News, Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Amarin, lowers price target to $111 overall sentiment, positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact, moderate positive impact due to analysts' maintained optimistic view. Long-term impact, potential long-term upside due to Amarin's continued growth prospects. Ticker-specific analysis, E, neutral trade recommendation, hold AEE score 1 symbols, E. News, Wells Fargo maintains overweight on American Electric Power, raises price target to $140 overall sentiment, positive, score 3 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term market impact is likely neutral, as the news is positive but not extreme. Long-term impact, long-term market impact could be moderately positive due to the potential for higher stock prices. Ticker-specific analysis, EAP, positive trade recommendation. By EAP, score 2 symbols, EAP. News, Bernstein downgrades Amgen to market perform, maintains price target to $335 overall sentiment, negative, score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact, possible short-term decline in Amgen stock price. Long-term impact uncertain, but downgrade may indicate decreased confidence in the company's performance. Ticker-specific analysis, M, negative trade recommendation. Hold M, score -1 symbols, M. News, Wells Fargo maintains equal weight on Avista, lowers price target to $37 overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact, no significant market impact expected. Long-term impact, no long-term implications mentioned in the article. Ticker-specific analysis, AVA, neutral trade recommendation. Hold AVA, score 0 symbols, AVA. News, Europe's antimony dilemma. Geopolitics, Greenland, and battle for critical mineral supply overall sentiment, negative, score -6 out of 10. Short-term impact, disruptions in critical minerals may lead to shortages and price increases. Long-term impact, Europe's reliance on foreign suppliers may hinder its ability to meet growing demand for clean energy, semiconductors, and defense technologies. Ticker-specific analysis, DPM, neutral GRX, negative LAC, neutral trade recommendation, sell MP, score -2 symbols, DPM, GRX, LAC, MILIF, and MP. News, Wells Fargo maintains overweight on CenterPoint Energy, raises price target to $47 overall sentiment, positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact, short-term market impact, minor rally possible. Long-term impact, long-term market impact, potential for increased investor confidence and stock appreciation. Ticker-specific analysis, CNP, positive trade recommendation. Hold CNP, score 1 symbols, CNP. News, Morgan Stanley maintains underweight on Wendy's, lowers price target to $8 overall sentiment, negative, score -7 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential short-term decline in stock price due to lowered expectations. Long-term impact, uncertainty surrounding long-term implications of Morgan Stanley's underweight rating and price target revision. Ticker-specific analysis. When. Negative trade recommendation. Hold WBN. Score 0 symbols. When. News. Here's how much $1,000 invested in Copart 20 years ago would be worth today. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Moderate short-term impact expected due to the article's focus on past performance. Long-term impact. Significant long-term positive impact anticipated as investors may consider CPRT for future investments based on its historical returns. Ticker-specific analysis. CPRT. Positive trade recommendation. Hold CPRT. Score 0 symbols. CPRT. News. Wells Fargo maintains equal weight on consolidated Edison. Lowers price target to $95. Overall sentiment. Negative. Score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term impact. Neutral, as the price target adjustment may not significantly affect AD stock price immediately. Long-term impact. Long-term impact. Negative, as a lower price target could influence investor decisions and potentially lead to decreased investment in consolidated Edison. Ticker-specific analysis. ED. Negative trade recommendation. Hold ED. Score 0 symbols. ED. News. BWG Global upgrades Capri Holdings to mixed overall sentiment. Positive. Score 7 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact. Minor positive reaction as investors respond to the upgrade. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact. Potential for increased investor confidence and long-term growth. Ticker-specific analysis. CPRI. Positive trade recommendation. Hold CPRI. Score 0 symbols. CPRI. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on DTE Energy. Lowers price target to $152. Overall sentiment. Neutral. Score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term impact due to lowered price target. Long-term impact. Long-term implications unclear. More research needed. Ticker-specific analysis. DTE. Negative trade recommendation. Hold DTE. Score -1 symbols. DTE. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Dominion Energy. Lowers price target to $64. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Price adjustment may have limited short-term market impact. Long-term impact. Maintained overweight rating suggests long-term growth potential for Dominion Energy. Ticker-specific analysis. D. Positive trade recommendation. By D. Score 2 symbols. D. News. Why Rust is a tool, not an interest-bearing bond. Overall sentiment. Negative. Score -3 out of 10. Short-term impact. Market volatility and misunderstanding of stablecoins may lead to short-term instability. Long-term impact. The regulatory landscape is likely to catch up with the nuances of stablecoins, leading to long-term stability. Ticker-specific analysis. USD. Neutral UST. Negative UST. Neutral symbols. UST. News. These 7 stocks rallied more than 200% since Trump's inauguration day. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 9 out of 10. Short-term impact. The stock surge may lead to short-term market volatility as investors adjust their portfolios. Long-term impact. The long-term implications of the AI supply constraints, national security concerns, and precious metals rally are likely to drive further growth in these sectors. Ticker-specific analysis. ASTS. Positive O. Positive light. Positive trade recommendation. By WDC. Score 2 symbols. ASTS. O. Light. MP. MU. RKLB and WDC. News. Morgan Stanley maintains overweight on Wingstop, lowers price target to $345. Overall sentiment, neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact, minor decline in investor confidence, potential short-term market volatility. Long-term impact, neutral impact on long-term growth expectations for Wingstop. Ticker-specific analysis. Wing, negative trade recommendation. Hold Wing, score -1 symbols. Wing. News. Tiziana Life Sciences announces all participants demonstrated stabilization, expanded disability stat scale scores in intranasal forlimab trial. 60% showed fatigue improvement. Overall sentiment, positive, score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact, potential short-term stock price increase due to positive clinical trial results. Long-term impact, long-term growth potential for Tiziana Life Sciences as a biotechnology company developing innovative treatments for multiple sclerosis. Ticker-specific analysis. TLSA. Positive trade recommendation. By TLSA, score 2 symbols. TLSA. News. Top Wealth Group shares are trading higher after the company entered into a material definitive agreement to acquire Erdity International for $125 million. Overall sentiment, positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact, TWG stock price may experience short-term gains due to the positive news. Long-term impact, long-term market impact will depend on the success of the acquisition and its integration. Ticker-specific analysis, TWG. Positive trade recommendation. Hold TWG. Score 1 symbols. TWG. News. Morgan Stanley maintains equal weight on Yum Brands. Raises price target to $176. Overall sentiment, positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Yum Brands may see short-term price increase due to the higher price target. Long-term impact. Long-term impact is uncertain without further information on market trends and competition. Ticker-specific analysis. Yum. Positive trade recommendation. By Yum. Score 2 symbols. Yum. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Entergy. Raises price target to $119. Overall sentiment, positive. Score 7 out of 10. Short-term impact. Expected to positively impact short-term market sentiment, potentially leading to increased trading activity. Long-term impact may contribute to long-term upward trend in Entergy's stock price if analysts' projections are accurate. Ticker-specific analysis. Your positive trade recommendation. By ITR, score 2 symbols. ITR. News. Wells Fargo plans to move wealth headquarters to West Palm Beach. Bloomberg overall sentiment, positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Positive short-term impact expected due to increased visibility and potential growth opportunities. Long-term impact. Long-term benefits include enhanced brand reputation, talent attraction, and competitive advantage in the wealth management space. Ticker-specific analysis. WFC, positive trade recommendation. Hold WFC, score 1 symbols. WFC. News. Cypress Solutions shares are trading higher after the company's subsidiary, Cypress Technologies, announced that it has entered into a long-term, sole source agreement with a global truck OEM. Overall sentiment, positive. Score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Stock price may continue to rise due to positive news. Long-term impact. Company's future outlook appears more promising with new partnership in place. Ticker-specific analysis. SIPR. Positive trade recommendation. By SIPR, score 2 symbols. SIPR. News. Wells Fargo maintains equal weight on Evergy. Raises price target to $79. Overall sentiment, positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Expected price increase due to increased demand or optimistic analyst view. Long-term impact. Potential for long-term growth as analyst maintains equal weight rating and raises price target. Ticker-specific analysis. EVIG. Positive trade recommendation. By EVIG, score 2 symbols. EVI. News. Morgan Stanley maintains equal weight on Cisco, lowers price target to $85 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. No significant short-term market impact expected. Long-term impact. No long-term market impact expected based on this news article. Ticker-specific analysis. C. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold SYY, score 0 symbols. C. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on Exelon. Lowers price target to $51 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 2 out of 10. Short-term impact. The news is likely to have a positive, but minor impact on XC's short-term performance. Long-term impact. The long-term market impact may be neutral as the analysts' rating and target price adjustment suggest stability rather than significant growth. Ticker-specific analysis. XC. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold AXC, score 1 symbols. XC. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on First Energy, lowers price target to $53 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Minor impact due to small price target adjustment. Long-term impact. No significant change in analysts' outlook. Ticker-specific analysis. Phi. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold FE, score 0 symbols. Phi. News. Morgan Stanley maintains equal weight on Sweetgreen, lowers price target to $9 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. SG may experience short-term market volatility due to the price target adjustment. Long-term impact. The long-term impact on SG is uncertain and depends on various market factors. Ticker-specific analysis. SG. News. Brinker International is an undervalued casual dining growth story. Analyst overall sentiment. Positive, score 8 out of 10. Short-term impact. Shares may continue to rise as investors react positively to the analysts' predictions. Long-term impact. The company's growth potential could lead to increased investor confidence and a higher stock price over time. Ticker-specific analysis. EAT. Positive trade recommendation. By EAT, score 3 symbols. EAT. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on PG&E, raises price target to $24 overall sentiment. Positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term price increase due to raised price target. Long-term impact. Long-term stock performance may improve with sustained industry growth. Ticker-specific analysis. PCG. Positive trade recommendation. Hold PCG, score 1 symbols. PCG. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on PPL, lowers price target to $41 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact is expected to be moderate. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact may be negligible without further significant news. Ticker-specific analysis. PPL. Negative trade recommendation. Hold PPL, score -1 symbols. PPL. News. Wells Fargo maintains equal weight on Pinnacle West Capital, lowers price target to $91 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Minor price movement expected due to unchanged recommendation. Long-term impact. No significant long-term impact anticipated from this news. Ticker-specific analysis. PNW. Negative trade recommendation. Sell PNW, score -2 symbols. PNW. News. $1,000 invested in Verisk Analytics 15 years ago would be worth this much today. Overall sentiment. Positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. The news is unlikely to have a significant short-term impact on VRSK stock price. Long-term impact. This article may contribute positively to VRSK long-term image and investor confidence. Ticker-specific analysis. VRSK. Positive trade recommendation. By VRSK. Score 2 symbols. VRSK. News. Wells Fargo maintains equal weight on Portland Gen Electric, raises price target to $49 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. The short-term market impact will be moderate, with potential price increases. Long-term impact. The long-term market impact is expected to be positive, given the raised price target and maintained equal weight rating. Ticker-specific analysis. POR. Positive trade recommendation. By POR, score 2 symbols. POR. News. Alphaton Capital shares are trading higher after the company announced it signed a definitive agreement to launch privacy-preserving AI agents for Telegram's users. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact is expected to be positive, with Atone shares potentially increasing in value. Long-term impact. The long-term market impact is uncertain and depends on the success of the Atone Telegram partnership. Ticker-specific analysis. Atone. Positive trade recommendation. By Atone, score 2 symbols. Atone. News. Wells Fargo maintains overweight on WEC Energy Group, lowers price target to $117 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. May lead to short-term selling pressure as investors adjust to the revised price target. Long-term impact. Has minimal long-term impact on WEC Energy Group's overall performance, given the analysts' continued overweight rating. Ticker-specific analysis. WEC. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold WEC, score -1 symbols. WEC. News. Core Civic awarded $45B Department of Defense Navy contract for Naval Supply Systems Command Worldwide Expeditionary Multiple Award Contract 2.2 Territorial Integrity of the United States overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term market increase due to the large contract award. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact may be positive if CXW successfully executes the contract. Ticker-specific analysis. CXW. Positive trade recommendation. By CXW, score 2 symbols. CXW. News. Morgan Stanley maintains equal weight on Jack in the Box, lowers price target to $19 overall sentiment. Neutral, score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Minimal short-term market impact expected. Long-term impact. No long-term market impact indicated by the news article. Ticker-specific analysis. Jack. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold Jack, score 0 symbols. Jack. News. Update. Core Civic awarded $45B Department of Defense Navy contract for Naval Supply Systems Command Worldwide Expeditionary Multiple Award Contract 2.2 Territorial Integrity of the United States published Jan 17, 2026 overall sentiment. Positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential short-term boost in stock price due to the contract award. Long-term impact. Long-term positive impact on Core Civic's financials and market value, pending successful contract execution. Ticker-specific analysis. CXW. Positive trade recommendation. By CXW, score 2 symbols. CXW. News: 908 Devices shares are trading higher after the company reported preliminary Q4 revenue above estimates. Overall sentiment: positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact: short-term, positive impact due to revenue beat. Shares may continue to trade higher. Long-term impact: long-term, potential for sustained growth if company maintains positive trends. Ticker-specific analysis: mass, positive trade recommendation. By mass, score 2 symbols, mass. News: Amgen sued by Sagebrush Health Services over allegedly unilaterally terminating sale of discounted drugs to Sagebrush's clinics. Overall sentiment: negative, score -7 out of 10. Short-term impact: short-term market impact may be negative due to potential legal costs and reputational damage. Long-term impact: long-term market impact may be neutral, depending on the outcome of the lawsuit and Amgen's ability to resolve the issue. Ticker-specific analysis: M. Negative trade recommendation. Hold M. Score 0 symbols, M. News: Betterware de Mexico shares are trading higher after the company announced a definitive agreement to acquire Tupperware's operating assets in Latin America for $250 million. Small cap consumer research raised its price target on the stock from $22.5 to $30. Overall sentiment: positive, score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact: price may increase in short term due to acquisition news. Long-term impact: long-term impact depends on successful integration of Tupperware assets. Ticker-specific analysis: BWMX, positive trade recommendation. By BWMX, score 2 symbols, BWMX. News: SR. Betting analyst Bill Sparrow's posts on ex-judge allows Massachusetts to prohibit at Calshi from offering sports-related contracts in the state. The Commonwealth is entitled to a preliminary injunction prohibiting Calshi from offering sport-related event contracts in the absence of the required license under the sports wagering law. Overall sentiment: score -4 out of 10. Short-term impact: possible short-term decline in sports betting companies. Long-term impact: long-term implications uncertain. Potential regulatory challenges ahead. Specific analysis. Bide. Neutral CCR. Neutral DKNG. Negative trade recommendation. Hold win. Score -1 symbols. Bide. CCR. DKNG. GAM. MGM. Pen. News: Barclays maintains overweight on NFT's bio. Raises price target to $78. Overall sentiment: positive, score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact: stock price may rise in the short term due to the positive news. Long-term impact: long-term impact depends on NFT's bio's future performance and competition within the industry. Short-term market impact is uncertain due to recent stock decline. Long-term impact: long-term potential for growth exists with this partnership and strategic moves. Ticker-specific analysis. Now. Neutral trade recommendation. Hold now. Score 0 symbols. Now. News. NovaBridge Biosciences shares are trading higher after the company announced that Fu Wei, executive chairman of the board, intends to purchase up to $5M of its ADSs in open market transactions. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. The announcement may cause a short-term increase in the stock price as investors react to symbols. NDP. News. Barclays maintains overweight on Cytomex Therapeutics, raises price target to $8. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact. Potential for slight increase in stock price. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact. Potential for significant growth based on analysts' positive outlook. Ticker-specific analysis. CTMX. Positive trade recommendation. By CTMX, score 2 symbols. CTMX. News. What's going on with Micron shares Tuesday? Overall sentiment. Positive, score 9 out of 10. Short-term impact. Shares may continue to rise due to growing global demand for memory solutions. Long-term impact. Acquisition of P5 fabrication site and partnership with PSMC are expected to create operational synergies and drive long-term growth. Ticker-specific analysis. MU. Positive trade recommendation. Hold a MU, score 0 symbols. MU. News. United States antimony shares are trading higher after the company announced the acquisition of critical minerals flotation facility for $4.75 million in cash. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. UME shares may experience short-term gains due to the positive news. Long-term impact. The News. Fuel Cell Energy shares are trading higher after the company announced a strategic collaboration to explore the deployment of up to 450 megawatts of advanced fuel cell power systems to support data center growth and other distributed power needs globally. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 4 out of 10. Short-term impact. Shares may continue to trade increased and revenue for Fuel Cell Energy. Ticker-specific analysis. FCell. Positive trade recommendation. FCell. Score 2 symbols. FCell. News. $1,000 invested in credit 5 years ago would be worth this much today. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 5 out of 10. Short-term impact. Potential for continued growth and increased investor interest. Long-term impact. Established track record of success. News. Audio shares are trading higher after the company announced it launched Discover Radio. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 6 out of 10. Short-term impact. Short-term market impact. Odd shares may continue to trade higher. Long-term impact. Long-term market impact. Company's new product launch could positively impact future growth. 4 out of 10. News. AstraZeneca to delist ADRs from Nasdaq by January. Broader investor reach overall sentiment. News. Fuel cell energy F-cell shares surge on strategic AI data center partnership. Overall sentiment. Positive. Score 9 out of 10. Short-term impact. F-cell performance may hinge on upcoming earnings, while the partnership with STCL could lead to strong year-over-year growth. Long-term impact. The strategic move positions F-cell to capitalize on neutral. Score 0 out of 10. Short-term impact. Minimal impact expected from the price target adjustment. Long-term impact. No significant long-term implications mentioned in the article. Ticker-specific analysis. RSG. News. Structure Therapeutics shares are trading higher after Guggenheim raised its